The shocking allegations levelled at Sean Diddy Combs have burst the floodgates on salacious claims about an industry many people believe harboured a monster. Understandably, the internet's ablaze with claims about these events and whether other powerful figures were involved too. Well, last week I interviewed Jaguar Wright, a singer-songwriter who's made claims about Diddy for years. Those claims had already received a lot of attention in the media across many platforms for many years. And that's the thing about platforms. The reality of the modern world is that pretty much everyone has a platform as long as they have something to say that other people want to hear. That's why we invited her on to be interviewed. The people making these claims have an audience with or without shows like mine. Well, Jaguar Wright unexpectedly made several serious allegations about Jay-Z and Beyonce during that interview. As I said in the moment, they were not present to respond or defend themselves, but now they have. Their lawyers contacted us to say that those claims were totally false and have no basis in fact, and we've therefore complied with the legal request to cut them from the original interview.
Where's the 50 Jay-Z competition? That's the one I've been waiting for.
I say shame on Piers Morgan.
Well, why shame on him and not shame on everybody else?
When you have a platform that people actually consider viable and you invite this, it's...
The buzz is all about 50 Cent flipping the script on Piers Morgan during an interview. When Piers tried his usual sharp questioning, 50 came prepared, pulling out receipts that changed the whole tone. The way 50 took control of the conversation left everyone stunned, from the crew in the studio to the internet, which can't stop talking about it.
Jackson tell people that he has a house in Carrollton, and he's had a house in Carrollton for over 7 years. That he comes down here, getting a lay of the land, hiring private investigators to follow people around.
Yeah, I came to Dallas, and then you had really wanted to put on for Dallas artists, so I got to get your take on 50 Cent had recently just went to Shreveport and put on this whole extravaganza.
I hate that.
Yeah, Hurricane Chris has come to the blogs and said, how could you come here to our place and not put on those Shreveport legends, and you could spend $500,000 on security to keep the hood out or to keep the hood from going?
Cause he don't give none of those about none of them boys. He don't give a fuck about Louisiana. Cause I tell you one thing, the second that Curtis got down there, right before me and my son were separated from each other, we went home for a visit. And the fishing hole that we went to, where fish are normally jumping, all of a sudden died. There was nothing out there. You could smell the poison in the water, which of course with irrigation, which of course would bring storms around. You know, you gotta like multimillionaires when they start creating tragedies to pretend to be heroes for. Why did Curtis Jackson lie to everybody? Why doesn't Curtis Jackson tell people that he has a house in Carrollton, and he's had a house in Carrollton for over 7 years? That he comes down here, getting a lay of the land, hiring private investigators to follow people around.
Piers Morgan walked into the studio with confidence, ready to challenge 50 Cent as he often does with his guests. His typical style, polite on the surface but cutting underneath, was in full swing. He downplayed 50's career, hoping to catch him off guard. But 50 stayed calm, letting Piers dig himself deeper with every word, clearly prepared for anything that came his way.
How bad was it?
That's what I care about. I care about the victims.
No, I understand. How bad was it, do you think, what was going on?
I'm going to tell you right now that me, as a woman who has been in the industry for over 30 years, I've been performing live since I was 13. My first handler was McKinley Horton. I come to find out 25 years later that a scar that was on his face with a very elaborate story he gave me was put there by a woman who he assaulted. To live through these things and hear your elders in the business, people like Patti LaBelle say, just avoid him, honey. And being taught to be just avoid him, honey. It's not good enough. Not when you live through these things, you're still suffering the PTSD created by all of this, and you're talking to a victim that's 20 years younger than you, and she's telling you the exact same thing that happened to you.
Right, there's been a lot of rumour mill about what has happened in the rap world. A lot of allegations that the misogyny in the lyrics clearly was based on a general misogyny towards women away from the music. And that clearly seems to have been borne out by these charges against Diddy, which if he's found guilty of all this, he's never coming out of prison. How dangerous do you think...
Thank God.
How dangerous do you think he is as a person?
I think he's one of the most dangerous people I've ever met. A lot of people have been questioning, well, she doesn't really know him. She has no knowledge of him. She doesn't have a picture with him. I'm smarter than Claudia Jordan. I would never take a picture with the devil. Everyone knew he was the devil. He's been the devil for 30 years. He's been covered and protected by not only Clive Davis, but Lucian Grange. He was selected to be the demon that he is, to keep the culture in line so the industry could continue to rape it for all of its precious jewels. We have too many lost. The list of lost is ridiculous, and everyone knows Diddy was selected for this job. He's the Judas.
Do you think that if he's cornered in the way that he's been now, that he may start revealing things about other people?
He has no choice. His ego and his drug addiction won't allow him to do anything different. Anybody who thinks he's not going to talk is crazy. The simple fact that he's not saying more now only means that the people who have been protecting him all along, who put him in position to be such a horror to the Black community, still find value in him. He's got everybody on tape. They all know it.
50 Cent let Piers run the show at first, nodding along and staying composed. Every time Piers tried to press him, 50 had a quiet confidence that showed he was 10 steps ahead. The tension in the room grew as Piers began to lose his rhythm, shuffling papers and taking sips of water, realizing his usual tactics weren't landing.
You were never at these freak-off parties. What were they like?
See, this is the thing. Everything that I'm about to say to you is not my firsthand knowledge. It is my firsthand witness account experience. I was a sex worker. I was a dominatrix before I got my record deal. That's how I know how the dark world and the sex world and the entertainment world run hand in hand. That's why the movie Blink Twice is so important. Salute to Zoe Kravitz. The sex workers that I have worked with throughout the years and continue to work with even to this day have worn hidden cameras. I have my own tapes. I've seen what they do. The ritualistic behaviors, the drugging, putting girls in the suitcases, dumping them in alleyways. It's horrifying. And it's all done under the protection of, this is going to be paid off. There's another NDA. This is going to be, it's terrible.
It seems to have been something that a lot of people knew about, but people were simply too scared to talk about.
Everyone knows. And every person that's sitting there trying to act surprised knows very well.
When Piers thought he had the upper hand, 50 turned the tables completely. He pulled out facts and insights that no one saw coming, switching seamlessly from casual conversation to business-level analysis. 50's calm, yet pointed responses had Piers stumbling, leaving the crew and viewers amazed by how the dynamic had shifted.
The whole point of this, like Cat Williams said when he sat with Shay Shay earlier this year, the whole point of this is for them, in a coordinated effort, to pretend like none of it is real, for the public's perception. But everyone knows what's going on, and it's been going on for years. It's been going on before Diddy. See, people keep looking at him like he's the Sputnik that came out of nowhere. This is someone who was designed to be what he is. We got to stop making Diddies. And if we're going to do that, then we got to go back. We got to go back to even further, the mentors of these people. Because Diddy was taught how to do what he does systematically, and Clyde Davis has been his greatest teacher.
Look, Clive Davis is not here to respond to that. Jaguar,
Guess they're on vacation.
if this goes to court, Jaguar, do you think the world is going to be shocked by what comes out?
Oh, absolutely. I just don't know why they are. It's been happening in front of everyone's faces for decades. For decades.
How many victims?
What's the difference between me and Judy Garland? Social media.
How many victims?
There was none for her.
How many victims potentially do you think there could be?
Thousands. Thousands. I've talked to hundreds that I deal with still myself. I think people should really look into that more. I am friends with Albie Shore. I love him. I love his children. I knew Kim. We used to all hang out together at the Kit Kat Club back in the mid-90s when Diddy was first starting his reign. I watched that whole thing happen. And everything that Albert has been through, every attempt on his life that has been ignored by the authorities, it all leads back to Diddy. And everyone knows it. The wiretapping of the phones, putting AirTag on children during visits. These are normal practices that these people do.
You could see the moment Piers realized this wasn't an average interview. 50 broke down complex media strategies and questioned Piers' choices with a tone as sharp as his knowledge. Every attempt Piers made to redirect the conversation failed as 50 brought it back with precision, leaving Piers visibly out of his depth.
Just like New York, just like Mount Vernon, New York City, Mount Vernon, and Miami, all that is the same, bro. Nobody wants to be near him. Nobody wants to touch what he touched, be where he at. You understand? It's crazy, bro, how his fall from grace, which was never from grace. It's just like the devil just kicked him out of hell. Because he was never in nothing graceful and did anything graceful. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what you say about, okay, he did the music, he had the bad boy legacy and everything like that, man. But, you know, a few albums, a few people, you know, made to be famous, but they not here to tell their story. Black Rob, Biggie, Craig Mack. They not here to tell their story, bro. And now you got everybody telling his story.
Yeah, and I know 50, he did a recent interview with US Weekly saying that the reason why rappers are quiet about, you know, Diddy's situation is because they've been to his parties and they don't know what got caught on tape.
Bro, those people who was caught at Diddy party did not know that he had 250 tape recorders in that house. That's a big house. But he had 250 tape recorders in that house that they took, that the feds found. So now with them finding all that and you being at a Diddy party, you know you may have done something that was caught on one of those tapes. You just better pray to God that they don't recognize you. Those people who know that they did something, No, they're not going to speak out. They're not going to say nothing. What part of the game is that? They are not going to come forward and tell on themselves. Nah, not at all. Ice Cube, he said it himself, bro. He said that Diddy's been targeted because of what he said about those folks and those people. Now, the people who was on those tapes may feel like Diddy might be targeting them. Because if he's asked about who is this, who is that, and he's under oath with the federal government, he got to tell them. He's not going to plead the fifth.
Yeah, I know that got to be a terrible feeling, man. You know you did something wrong at Diddy party, and you hoping and praying that it's not caught on tape.
But they don't think they did nothing wrong. That's their lifestyle. That's their lifestyle, bro. I ask guys all the time, if two men lay down, how many homos get up? What you mean? I mean what I mean. It's
50 didn't just defend himself. He exposed patterns in Piers' interviews, showing how he often targets certain guests for sensationalism. With detailed examples, 50 highlighted Piers' approach to media, leaving no room for rebuttal. Piers, usually quick with comebacks, was left scrambling, his confidence slipping by the minute.
Why didn't he tell anybody that Millennium Studios, which is now G-Unit Studios, was already there? Why is he pretending like he built it from the ground up? He didn't. He bought it. I know Millennium. I used to go there all the time. Yeah, I know. So why did he lie to everybody? Why did he tell everybody his studio was going to be in Texas? Why did he keep it so quiet? Why didn't nobody in Shreveport know that he was making such a large acquisition? There would have to be some kind of paperwork there. It's almost as if that sale happened overnight. Not even anyone in the clerk's office knew about it, and I would know. I know the clerk. That's my town. Those are my people. What is it with all of these pretenders? And now they got an even bigger one named Curtis Jackson. They should check the EPA report since he's been there and the toxic waste he's been allowing to be dumped around the property of Millennium Studios. And I'm not saying allegedly, Curtis. You know, you don't get no about what happens to those people in that town, but I do. I love the people in that town. I just wonder how you like that man I sent you. Because he really didn't think you was gonna go for him. You, Curtis, you better do right by Shreveport, or I'm gonna let everybody know that Diddy Do-Wop Bop ain't the only taste you got.
So, just to switch gears.
Curtis, I'm sick and tired of him. I'd have more respect for him if he came out the closet.
It seems like...
Because he's a lot more Bogart than Brooklyn.
It seems like 50 Cent is trying to take down Diddy.
No, he's trying to move Diddy and Jay-Z out the way so he can run it. And the truth is, I ain't mad at him. I just don't trust him. Because the truth is, he would just be another kind of monster in another kind of way. He don't want things to change. He just want to be the one that's running it. See? Easiest thing to do is to take your enemy's feet and hold them to the fire for things you know that they won't admit. Which is why when that C&D came out, he took all of that Diddy shit down. Because it is too. I just wish, listen to me, make you no mistake about it. 50 is pure hip hop, pure MC. And he'll, just like Mike Tyson. Does every time Mike Tyson stuck his makes him any less the killer that he is in the ring? See, and I think that's the problem that people don't understand when it comes to this hypersexuality in hip hop and masculinity. A lot of people don't realize a lot of the archetypes and everything that they built on are built around Roman soldiers, Greek soldiers who used butt breaking as a way to trauma bond with each other so that they would kill for each other on the field. You got to think about it. Real soldiers back in those days, they didn't spend a lot of time around women. Women were something that happened or something that you did to have babies with. Most of your time was spent with the men in the field. Y'all saw the movie. Did anybody see Brokeback Mountain? You want to know what was the saddest thing? Being on tour buses and watching.
Piers' usual tactics completely backfired. When he tried to cut 50 off, 50 stayed firm and on point, making Piers look defensive. The cameras captured every moment of Piers' unease, from nervous glances to adjustments of his collar. It was clear this was not the interview he had planned.
Well, before I get into that, I kind of want to address the prior two panelists. First with Mrs. Jaguar Wright. She said a lot of things that were very jarring in her explanation of what she saw and had firsthand accounts on. My concern for her, she's saying a lot of things that could be considered libelous.
Right.
And I would suggest that she contacts an attorney, if only to vet the information she has or purports to have from other victims. At least they can protect her, and then they can also do their due diligence, the attorneys, to make sure that the information she's receiving is accurate outside of the things that she knows and may have proof of. I was very concerned about some of the things that she had said in her prior segment. I also want to address Mr. Vlad, who I know to be a culture vulture, who takes from the Black community and doesn't give back and puts artists in situations where then they are indicted by the police. And he's very much so what we call police type investigation in the Black community. And for him to repudiate what Mrs. Wright has said, I thought was completely out of line. He can say he doesn't agree, which is fine. But for him to be someone who constantly uses the Black community and uses them as a means for his platform, I thought that was very inconsiderate and unprofessional. Now, to get to your question that you asked of me regarding the victims, there are victims coming out every day, even someone who contacted me last night. So, and it's only standing to be more individuals coming out. I do talk to some of the other attorneys who represent victims that we already have known because they filed cases, who have additional victims who plan to come forward, and they plan to file cases against very soon. So it's only a matter of how many more are going to come out, and it seems to be, it'll be very many more.
You've said that you've been contacted regarding the sale of one of the Diddy freak-off tapes, and that it features a very high-profile celebrity. What can you tell us about that?
So actually, I recently was contacted by one of my business partners, who's also an attorney, who said to me, well, why are we not writing the demand letter to try to do the catch and kill? And I said, well, if you want to do it, then I'll connect you and you can essentially do it. He was also concerned about wanting to protect the other person who was in the film, mainly because I've known about this for about 3.5 weeks to about a month. I've been communicating with these people who purport to have that videotape. And it wasn't until Thursday night that they outright said, can you write on your letterhead a letter to the individual who's also in the tape and see if they're interested in a catch and kill? And is that something we'll give you X amount of percentage of it? And at the time I was like, I don't think I want to be involved in this, but I hadn't had time to process. But the other attorney I'm speaking of he's pretty much been in the know the entire time since I first got contacted by these individuals with the tape. And we're pursuing now a meeting with the three of us for us to broker, I guess, a situation where we'll have certain guarantees that once we make the representations to the person in the tape, that we have some level of assurances that this.
At one point, it seemed Piers wasn't interviewing 50 anymore. 50 was interviewing him. Every time Piers attempted to regain control, 50 responded with even sharper insights. The audience's reactions made it clear they saw the shift in power, laughing at moments that left Piers visibly uncomfortable.
The internet's ablaze with claims about these events and whether other powerful figures were involved too. Well, last week I interviewed Jaguar Wright, a singer-songwriter who's made claims about Diddy for years. Those claims had already received a lot of attention in the media across many platforms for many years. And that's the thing about platforms. The reality of the modern world is that pretty much everyone has a platform as long as they have something to say that other people want to hear. That's why we invited her on to be interviewed. The people making these claims have an audience with or without shows like mine. Well, Jaguar Wright unexpectedly made several serious allegations about Jay-Z and Beyonce during that interview. As I said in the moment, they were not present to respond or defend themselves. But now they have. Their lawyers contacted us to say that those claims were totally false and have no basis in fact. And we've therefore complied with the legal request to cut them from the original interview. Editing interviews is not something we do lightly at a show called Uncensored. But, like the proverbial cries of fire in a crowded theatre, there are legal limits on us too. And we apologise.
50's calm and strategic responses turned the interview into a masterclass in control. When Piers tried to end the conversation early, 50's casual reply, "Oh, but I thought we were just getting started," left everyone speechless. By the end, it was 50 in control, dismantling the facade Piers had built, leaving the audience and even his supporters impressed.
Just like New York, just like Mount Vernon, New York City, Mount Vernon, and Miami, all that is the same, bro. Nobody wants to be near him. Nobody wants to touch what he touched, be where he at. You understand? It's crazy, bro, how his fall from grace, which was never from grace, it's just like the devil just kicked him out of hell. Because he was never in nothing graceful and did anything graceful. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what you say about, okay, he did the music, he had the bad boy legacy and everything like that, man. But, you know, a few albums, a few people, you know, made to be famous, but they not here to tell their story. Black Rob, Biggie, Craig Mack. They not here to tell their story, bro. And now you got everybody telling his story.
Yeah, and I know 50, he did a recent interview with US Weekly saying that the reason why rappers are quiet about, you know, Diddy's situation is because they've been to his parties and they don't know what got caught on tape.
Bro, those people who was caught at Diddy party did not know that he had 250 tape recorders in that house. That's a big house. But he had 250 tape recorders in that house that they took, that the feds found. So now with them finding all that and you being at a Diddy party, you know you may have done something that was caught on one of those tapes. You just better pray to God that they don't recognize you. Those people who know that they did something, no, they're not going to speak out. They're not going to say nothing. What part of the game is that? They are not going to come forward and tell on themselves. Nah, not at all. Ice Cube, he said it himself, bro. He said that Diddy's been targeted because of what he said about those folks and those people. Now, the people who was on those tapes may feel like Diddy might be targeting them. Because if he's asked about who is this, who is that, and he's under oath with the federal government, he got to tell them. He's not going to plead the fifth.
Yeah, I know that got to be a terrible feeling, man. You know you did something wrong at Diddy party, and you hoping and praying that it's not caught on tape.
But they don't think they did nothing wrong. That's their lifestyle. That's their lifestyle, bro. I ask guys all the time, if two men lay down, how many homos get up? What you mean? I mean what I mean.